Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
Hello, Happy New Year. I've said it on the show and I'll say it on the podcast, and that's it now. You won't hear me say Happy New Year again, as it is the 6th of January now when this podcast released. Welcome to episode 250 of the best bits of the Atom Radio Breakfast Show. All the best bits harvested from this week's show. And on the way, we've got a political review of 2023. We've got the after effects of Christmas, pettiness to be proud of, Freddie Mercury, Eurovision news, Women Rock Day, Women's Hair Fashion Day, together with a matching tattoo situation and Futurology. All that and more is on the way in episode 250. We finally made it. I was so gutted that we only ended 2023 on 249. Here we are. Welcome to episode 250.
Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
I did tweet this on New Year's Eve. I imagine Rishi Sunak is reflecting happily on a year where everything is on the up. Cost of living on the up, cost of borrowing on the up, NHS waiting lists on the up, tax burden on the up, and illegal migration on the up. So yes, I would imagine that Rishi Sunak is well chuffed with that, and he will be able to say, yeah, everything was on the up in 2023, other than the fact everything that was on the up should be on the way down.
This is Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
Atom Radio.
Here we are then in January with Christmas and New Year behind us. How many of the gifts have you returned so far, eh? The jumpers that the jumpers you would never ever wear and stuff like that. How many have been returned so far? And what excuse did you give? Maybe that should have been our top 5 today, though. For Top 5 Tuesday, what has been the most petty thing that you have ever done?
Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
This is Atom Radio.
Morning, Helen. First in today. Happy New Year to you. Helen says, got tickets for a gig for me and my boyfriend and forwarded him on the email, so he had the digital tickets and the barcode and everything on his phone. Well, I then found out that he cheated on me and we split up. I didn't mention anything about the tickets to him after we'd split up, other than to say, well, you keep them. I then cancelled them and got a refund on them. As they were digital tickets, I got a refund on them. So he arrived at the gig with whoever he chose to take with him, scanned the tickets only to be told that they were void and he couldn't actually get into the gig at all. I like your style, Helen. I like that a lot. Yeah. You can keep them. Oh no, they don't work. I like your style a lot, actually, Helen. I like that. Let's find out the top 5 of petty things that you have done. At number 5, deliberately took my husband's car keys after he took mine 2 days in a row, knowing I was staying at my sister's and he'd have to get a taxi to golf. At number 4, cancelled digital tickets for a gig that I'd given to my ex without telling him, so he went and tried to scan them. At number 3, took out-of-date cow's milk to get my own back on a lady at work who kept using my goat's milk. At number 2, emailed my boss's boss the proposal that my boss had asked me to write for him to submit. And at number 1, the most petty thing that you've done, throttled the Wi-Fi speed after an argument with a flatmate to a speed where she couldn't stream anything.
Mark Denholm
at breakfast podcast.
6:15 morning then, Mark Denholm at breakfast, banging out the anthems on Atom Radio. A woman believes she has discovered Freddie Mercury in her spoon. There appears to be what looks to be somebody rocking out on her spoon. Nancy DeTrania was stunned to see the little silhouette of the main Queen singer in his iconic yellow leather jacket pose from the 1986 Wembley tour. Her 13-year-old daughter was left feeling like a champion when she first clocked Mercury looking back at her after taking the silverware out of the dishwasher.
Mark Denholm at breakfast.
This is Atom Radio.
Eurovision organisers, if you are into that, have teased an apparent Caribbean appearance at this year's contest. New year, new news. They announced in a message sharing with their more than 1.3 million followers. How have they got that many? Through their official Instagram page. We're thrilled to confirm that the Caribbean is coming to the Eurovision Song Contest in 2024. Stay tuned, we can't wait to tell you more. Now, Australia is not in the Eurozone at all, and neither is the Caribbean, so it's not really the Eurovision anymore, is it? I bet, though, it's still cheesy and naff.
This is Mark Denholm
at breakfast.
Atom Radio.
Hump Day it is, and today is also Women Rocks Day. So I want to know today, what is it if you're a lady that makes you rock, and if you have a lady and you're a man, i.e. your wife, your girlfriend, your mum, your sister, what is it that makes her rock? On air at atomradio.co.uk. I know it's not International Women's Day and we're a bit premature therefore in celebrating women, but you can never over-celebrate ladies, if you're honest, in my opinion. And Jackie, I love this from Jackie, short, sweet and to the point, Jackie says, women rock because we're women.
Mark Denholm.
At breakfast. Podcast.
You will remember, if you were around during the early 2000s when everybody wanted the Rachel haircut. Well, apparently now Gen Zers want the Kelly Clarkson American Idol haircut.
This is Mark Denholm.
At breakfast.
Atom Radio.
Today, I want to ask you, what would you do in this situation? A lady says, should I cancel my wedding or am I being controlled? The story behind this, her fiancé won't remove a matching tattoo that he got with his ex, who he's still in touch with. She's now taken to Reddit, sharing a post about her concern. She's 24, he's 28. He insists on keeping the matching tattoo he shares with an ex-girlfriend. 5 years ago, they got a matching set of wrist tattoos, but the relationship came to an end when she cheated on him. He has, however, kept the tattoo as a reminder of their time together and won't have it removed. I now want to know today, what would you do in that situation? What I don't get, though, is she must have known about this tattoo beforehand, and it's taken her until now, when they're obviously engaged, to think, right, now should I bring it up or not? So what would you do in that situation? Your fiancé has a tattoo, matching tattoo that they got with their ex. What would you do? And morning, Paul, thank you for your email on air at atomradio.co.uk. Paul gives a real-life scenario and his experience of the situation. So, Paul says, me and my ex-girlfriend got matching tattoos on our calves. However, about 9 months later, we split up and it turned out that we weren't really very good for each other. We finally saw that. We split up and I kept the tattoo because I didn't want to do anything with it. And it wasn't the connection to her that made me keep it. It was just the fact that I couldn't really think of anything to cover it up with. And I certainly didn't want to go and have it removed. However, I then met someone new online, and we met we spoke online, we met a few times in person, and then we made it official. And the moment I realised that there was a chance that this could become serious, I thought, well, wait a minute, the tattoo on the leg, I owe it to her to get rid of this matching tattoo that I had with my ex-girlfriend. So I made an appointment at the tattooist, and I explained I want this covered up. And we went through a few designs and that, and I sat down and I got it all covered up and everything, and I let that heal. And then once that had healed, I spoke to the new girlfriend and I showed her the new tattoo and said to her, what do you think? And she said, yeah, it's very, very nice. And it was then that I explained to her that it was a cover-up of a matching tattoo that I got with my ex-girlfriend. But since I thought that we were now serious, and since I thought that, we now were going somewhere together, that I should get it covered up, and I thought that I owed her an explanation. Do you know what, Paul? I think you've handled that amazing. I really, really do. I've never got a matching tattoo with someone. I've got 4 tattoos, and they're all individual to me. I've never got a tattoo that matches with anybody. But what I will say is, I think in that situation, I wouldn't get any of mine removed. None of mine are offensive, none of mine bother me, but I wouldn't get any of them removed. However, I think in that situation, you've done an amazing thing and you've opened up and been honest with her. I don't think she could ask for a better bloke. Thank you, Paul. Have a lush Thursday.
Mark Denholm.
At breakfast. Podcast.
Experts in 1924 predicted that children will be automatically flung out of their beds in time for school. Women will be beautiful, strong dancers and horses will cease to exist. Now, they'd be called futurologists now, wouldn't they, in this day and age? It's fair to say they pretty much got all that wrong. You do still have to get your children up in the morning. Women are, I suppose, beautiful, strong dancers, but who's to say they weren't 100 years ago, and what's changed in that? And horses do still exist. So, yeah, the predictions were fairly wild and fairly wrong. Today, I want to know, what are you predicting is going to happen in the next 10 years on air at atomradio.co.uk for something that we either do now that we will no longer need to do in 10 years' time, or something that we can't do now that we will be able to do by 2034 on air at atomradio.co.uk. And morning, Tom. Happy Friday to you. Tom says, I predict that supersonic flight will return by 2034. Yep, there's that boom, isn't there, that are working on a supersonic plane. which is going to be smaller than Concorde, I believe private jet sized rather than 100 passenger size. But yeah, there is that. And hopefully, I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it, if we got to see Concorde flying again. I know there is one that is potentially still operational. I'd love to see that restored and flying again.
Mark Denham.
At Breakfast Podcast.
Futurologists, as they would be known now, weren't that good in 1914, were they? Horses definitely still exist. And I'm pretty certain that technology exists as well to turf children out of bed of a morning. But then social services would be on your case, wouldn't they? You know, get up. No? All right, press the button and fling them out of bed. They definitely be on your case for that. So yeah, that one could be done, but I think common sense has told us not to do it. But then I'm thinking, right, I'm criticising the people of 1914 for saying these things that are wildly inaccurate. I don't know what it'll be like in 21, 24, and 100 years from now. I can't imagine. With the pace of technology now, I can't imagine how much things will change between now and 21, 24. What I can guarantee is I won't be here to see it. So yeah, that's quite a sobering thought, isn't it? But then, if I'm honest, I'd like to hope that I'd still be here by 2034 to see the pace of technological change between now and then. But I can't imagine it in my head. As I say, with the speed and the advance of technology, I can't imagine it. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the show this week. And indeed, thank you for checking out the podcast as well. I hope that you've enjoyed the podcast. If you have, subscribe either on YouTube or on your podcast app and you'll get notified when the next app drops. And don't forget the show is back Monday morning from 6 a.m. on Atom Radio. Go to atomradio.co.uk/listen.
Mark Denham.
At Breakfast Podcast.